F Y'all Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the CT Fletcher Presents the F Y'all Podcast. I am your co-host, Michael Wright. And sitting next to me, as always, is the one and only, the legendary, the sidewalk cracker himself, Mr. CT Fletcher. Pops, how you feeling today, sir?
Blessed as always. You never hear a complaint from me, and I'm very excited about today's guest. Let's kick this shit off.
Now, before we jump into the guests, let me just let the listeners know. Everybody's been asking how I'm doing. I haven't really put an update out there. I'm doing much better. I'm starting to kind of feel like my normal self again. Don't put a set of stairs in front of me. You're gonna get a rude awakening how far how far I am from my normal self. But I'm doing much better. Everything is healing up perfectly. Had my follow-up appointments a couple of weeks ago. Everything is good. I'm on the mend. I'm feeling good. Back with the old man, and I couldn't be happier. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm doing good. And recovery has been rough, but I'm blessed. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. At the end of the day, that is all that matters. So thank you guys so much for the prayers and all the well wishes. I appreciate everything you guys have been doing for me. So thank you so much. Now, let's get into our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, a man who I know is probably like, this brother has been getting on my nerves because I've been pestering him about getting him on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the CT Fletcher Presents Mr. Rycklon Stephens, a.k.a. Big Rick, also known as Ezekiel Jackson in WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rycklon Stephens, welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, sir. Thank you for making time out of your day to come sit down with us. I appreciate it. We're going to try to make this as smooth and interesting as possible. Hopefully the old man don't ask you nothing too crazy. How you doing today, sir?
Promises.
I'm here, man. I appreciate the offer to be here. Again, I've been a fan of CT forever.
Oh, man. Appreciate it.
Like you said, when we were talking just now, you said they should try to bring you in. I tried cutting promos like you. I tried, I was down in Florida and they're like, oh, try something different. So I tried a few to that level, but I don't have that voice. Very soft spoken. I got that accent that kicks in when I get too angry. And so it didn't work, but amazing. Just a pleasure to be here, man. Again, Big Bro is blessed to be in your presence, to see that, health is there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Go through things and you're here, man. So it was a shocker to see the surgery. I'm like, whoa, but glad you're here.
It shocked me too because it was very unexpected. But we definitely appreciate you coming in. Absolutely. Now, you talked a second ago about your accent. You were from Linden, Guyana. Tell us what it was like growing up in Guyana.
Linden, Guyana. If I try to explain it to most people, they would be like, "No, it's not."
Try us.
It's a small town, and I'm from the valley where it's no cars. When I was there, cars wouldn't get to where I live. So you get a car to the trestle, which was like a train line, and then if you needed a ride back, you get a donkey cart.
Wow.
That would take, if you or somebody would have a go-kart that would bring you there. I'm the youngest of, I call it 7. My mom had a son, my dad had 2, and then they had 4 together.
Okay, blended family.
I'm the youngest. Guyana is in South America. Most people, when I say Guyana, everybody think Ghana.
Right.
I'm like, no, Guyana. Right now, Guyana is doing really well because they just found oil.
Oh,
so we just went from the poorest country in South America to the wealthiest because of oil.
Man.
But when I grew up, it was like I had to fetch water. That was my chore. I had to bring water from, literally up the hill, across the sand, down the hill to the neighbor that had running water because we didn't have running water. Wow. And that was my chore. Every Saturday I swept the yard. We had bamboo trees, and my job was to sweep the yard and bring water. Those were my 2 chores. School, I stayed there until I was 11. Then we got a chance to come to America, and we moved to Brooklyn, New York. East New York, Brooklyn, when you say East, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So that's where I came from, thinking America was like supposed to be like the better, and then I'm like,
Wait, hold on a minute.
Ain't what I thought it was.
yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, I saw garbage on the like, I think the movie I saw right before we came, it was Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, wow.
So I saw Beverly Hills, and I'm like, that's where we're going. And we didn't end up there. So, but yeah, so I'm Guyanese. Been here since 1989.
Okay.
I think I'm sort of assimilated. When I speak to my family, I keep my accent with my family.
Really?
So that's why I think I shift between the two. And yeah, that's it.
Now tell us
Did you
more
have
about.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Did
Paul.
you have older brothers?
Yeah, I have 3 older brothers,
Oh.
and I have 3 older sisters. One of my sisters passed. That's where this tattoo came from. She died on April 5th, 2005, which was 5 days before her birthday.
Oh wow.
So April is always a tough month for me.
Yeah.
My brothers were gone before I got older, so I was raised by 2 sisters and a mom.
Oh.
So I'm very conscientious of a lot of being a little bit more sensitive than most guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of helped me, the body to be, quote unquote, the manly aspect. But I think I was raised by 3 women, which allows me to see the world a bit different.
So are you a mama's boy?
Fully.
Yep. You know what?
What you
Fully.
got
Me
it
too.
covered.
Fully.
Me too. And so is he. And so is he.
Fully and proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about. Now I know you said when you got to Brooklyn, it was not what you expected watching
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, but was it still a culture shock coming from Guyana to New York?
Yeah, because we came in 1989. It was right when rap was getting popular. But I grew up on soca, reggae.
Mm-hmm.
In my house in the morning we had Jim Reeves for gospel. In the evening was Elvis Presley for soul,
Oh, wow.
or Charlie Pride. So it was a very blend. So when I came and heard rap for the first time, it just never clicked for me.
Really?
I tried this. I never got into the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Like I love a certain music, but I never got delved into it.
Okay.
And so it was a culture shock with got made fun of for my accent. Yeah, I was 11 years old in 6th grade. So I got made fun for accent, for not having the right clothes, for not, kids were kids.
Yeah.
But I think I've always built up a thing where certain words never affected me. Other people's words never affected me. So it's kind of saved me. So when the kids would make fun of me, I'm like, I got 2 pants. That's all I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm happy I got some new sneakers because in Guyana, go back to Guyana for school, I had to wear my shoes over my shoulder because you don't want to get your shoes messed up to go to school. If you had messed up shoes, the teachers could beat you.
What?
If your shirts wasn't tucked in or clean or ironed, they can beat you. Like it was that kind of culture.
Wow.
So when I came and kids, like I wore, I think the first 3 days of school, I wore the same clothes.
Yeah.
Kids were like freaked out. I'm like, I was used to a uniform.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh, I could wear different clothes, you know what I mean? I didn't have much, but that was different, knowing that, man, I got 2 pairs of sneakers instead of 1. I could wear whatever I want to school and be fine, you know what I mean? So that was the shock for me. It was like not having to wear a uniform, not being afraid of your teacher, because there's certain teachers in school in Guyana, you're like, I don't want to have her, but she was the best teacher and the hardest teacher. And I was one of the smarter kids, so I was always in her class.
Yeah.
So, and she was always the strict one. So not having a teacher that would beat you, and major shock was having to go from one classroom to the next.
Yeah.
I'm like, we sat in one class with one teacher and we do different subjects. So when the bell rang, I was like, the kids got up and start walking out. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. So my homeroom teacher had to explain to me, okay, you go to this class and then you go to this class.
Wow.
So that was different for me.
Okay, now I want to touch on something you just said a minute ago as far as like you kind of tucking your accent away, except when you're dealing with your family. What's the mindset behind that, and why do you find that necessary to do?
I think because Guyana was not popular at the time. Everybody thought I was Jamaican or African. Okay. So I think holding on to my accent was always a little bit of pride of my culture, my country. because it was not popular. People really don't. To this day, you like again, like I said, Guyana. People think Africa.
Yeah.
I got to explain, and then they'll be like, I thought they were more Indian people, which is true. Larger percent of the country is East Indian.
Okay.
So when you're like a black Guyanese, it's like they exist. So I think all of that kind of in me was to preserve my culture.
Okay. Because when you got out of the car just now, you spoke, and I heard the accent.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, the time I saw you on TV in WWE. I was like, I don't remember him having an accent. I never picked up on the fact that you had an accent to just now when I spoke to you. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So when you said that, it stood out that, how you said you kind of keep that.
Did you ever meet, I had a cousin named Ice Train.
Yeah.
Who was a professional wrestler. Did you ever get to meet
I actually did a show with him about 2 weeks ago. He's in the Bay, right?
Ice Train passed away. Yeah.
He's thinking.
Who's up in the Bay?
Are you thinking? You're not thinking. Not Hobbs, but
No, it's another train. I
don't know, but Harold. His name was Harold Hogue.
Was he from? Where was he from?
He's from here. Well, we down south.
Okay.
Anyway,
he wrestled for WCW.
Quick. Do you have the braids or no?
No. That's
okay.
No.
Okay, I'm a little off.
But you, I didn't find out he was my cousin until 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I met him once at an airport.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's going to some show, and I'm going to some powerlifting contest. And he said, "Hey, man, you look like me." And I say,
and
people tell me, and people, because I'm a big wrestling fan, and I would go to, I was a bigger fan during your era, Stone Cold and Bill Goldberg. And we didn't know we were related at all. We met each other in the airport. Then I found out that he was my cousins, and they did this DNA shit. And I said, "Hey, you guys are cousins." But now you say people think you from Africa, but they'll never figure out where That's Ice Train. Oh yeah, that's him. Where you're really
okay.
from.
Yeah.
And I thought when I first seen Ezekiel Jackson throwing people around and slamming the shit out of people, I said, "He from Arkansas." He's from somewhere down south. I know that rascal from somewhere down south. He got that country boy strength right there. Boy, was I wrong.
I am from the South.
Oh yeah?
South of the equator. South America. So.
Yeah, that is true.
Now, so you graduated from the University of Buffalo, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did your college career, did that influence you getting into professional wrestling? What was the start of that coming out of college?
So that go back all the way to when I was 8 years old in Guyana.
Okay.
That's why I asked about Ice Train with the braids. So when we had like 1 day off, and for us, again, we didn't own a TV. We had a few neighbors that would charge to come and watch TV in their house. Mm-hmm. On the days, they won't allow the kids in the house because the kids, again, no shirt, probably in your underwear running around. So I saw wrestling through a window like this for the first time.
Wow.
And I remember the guy was a black guy, and it was just fascinating that it's like they were fighting, but they weren't fighting. Because I used to watch boxing. Yeah. And like, this is different. And I was 8 years old. I saw that. I was like, man, that's fascinating. Once I got older, I was able to do my chores on Friday, walk to my brother's house about 2 miles away. I would go walk to the boat, take a boat over, then walk to his house. Again, describing Guyana is different. And I would be able to spend Saturday nights at his house and watch Sunday Worldwide of Wrestling.
Okay.
And that's how that love came. So once in a while, my mom would let me do that. And once we came in, I found Saturday Morning Superstars, WCW, and then WWF on Sundays. My weekends were locked in.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into wrestling and just became a fan. Like my brother, one of my older brothers, like, that's fake, right? I'm like, but look how the fans are reacting.
Yeah.
So again, words didn't affect me. I was like, I'm like, you're making me study this more.
Yeah.
And then you see all the newscasts by the guys talking in the ring. I'm like, but still, there's 60,000 people cheering.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that just drew me in more. It's like, what's the secret? And so that's how the love came. At 18, I was about to try wrestling because one of my friends at John Dewey, he's at AEW, Prince Nana.
Yeah.
So him and I graduated the same year from John Dewey.
Okay.
He was doing wrestling, so I went to his first show. He was just a battle royal. But I told my mom, like, I want to do this. She's like, dude, you're going to be the only one to graduate college from this family. Wow. So it was like, that's where okay, I'm going to put this on hold.
Yeah.
And again, started working out, competing in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and tried football. Everybody's like, you look like a football player.
Yeah.
I'm from Brooklyn. We play basketball or handball.
Yeah.
So I tried football. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And once I graduated, took the LSAT, got into law school,
Okay.
I met Teddy the Tank, who was at WCW with No Limit Soldiers.
Yeah.
And he told me about a school in Brooklyn. I went, fell on my back 1,000 times and was like, I'm going to do this. So for a long time, my mom was mad at me.
I was about to say, I was just getting ready to ask you.
She's like,
your
you
mother
could be a lawyer. You could be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Until I got on TV, then she was like, oh, okay, this is my son.
That's awesome.
You know, what I mean? So, but that's how that journey was. Bodybuilding. I competed. I used to come out to Redondo and do Musclemania.
I remember, yeah.
Good
Awesome,
Lord.
man.
And
Good
so then powerlifting, and then when it got to that point where bodybuilding, I would have to do things I wasn't ready to do.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me focus on the wrestling. I focused acting and wrestling, and that was it.
Now, so growing up, who were some of your favorite wrestlers to watch?
Who did you see in that little crack you was looking through there?
I cannot remember his name now, but I've always had the name in my head. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Oh.
I can't think of his name, but he had these dreads. It was like IFW. It was like some local wrestling from the South
Iceman
somewhere.
Parsons.
Iceman.
Actually,
Iceman.
Look at you.
Parsons, yeah.
So that's why,
Yes,
when you
sir.
say Ice Train, that's why I thought.
yeah.
So
Iceman
I
King
saw
Parsons.
Iceman King Parsons on TV.
Yep.
And that was it. Like, you know, so when we came here, I think I saw my first, would they do like a segment of a wrestler was Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say his name, but I don't want to say his name. The red and yellow dude.
Yeah.
But for me, I fell in love with Bad News Brown.
Oh, okay.
That was-
Like,
that's
he's
the
a
guy
black
right
dude
there.
Yeah.
beating people up on
Yeah, absolutely.
Harlem, New York. It
Yeah.
was the black, if you notice when I
Black
first came out,
trunks.
was the black trunks, the glove, that was it. And
Yeah.
that's what I tried. But I was shifted to red. And, but yeah, Bret Hart is definitely just his intensity when he wrestled that. I just was like, man, this looks so crisp. Everything he did looked really clean.
Mhm.
And that was it. But then also the big muscular guys. Now that I could watch their matches and be like, oof. You know what I mean? But I'm like, you know, the Barbarian, Warlord,
Yeah.
Dino
Oh, yeah,
Bravo,
absolutely.
the Rock Don Morocco. So all the big muscular dudes, I was like, I want to be one of those dudes.
Yep.
And then when I became one, it was like freaky to me. Like, dude, I'm one of those dudes.
Yeah, you are.
With a lot of people, and we talked about it on this show. Mr. Fletcher here tried his hand at professional wrestling.
Oh, you
for
did?
a hot second.
Yeah, hot second. until at the time I had little kids,
Okay.
and I was already working at the post office,
Yeah.
and they told me I loved it. I loved it, the training,
Yeah.
but they said every weekend you're gonna be in a
Different city. Yeah.
and I was like, I can't do that. My kid's too little.
Yeah.
And I need this health insurance for my kid. I ain't gonna be traveling to a different city every weekend. I can't do it. And that
Yeah.
just squashed my WWE hopes right there. But oh man, yeah, I've been a big wrestling fan. You know, ever since we fortunately we were fortunate enough. When I was in Arkansas, that's where I was born in. We didn't have no TV either. It sounded
And
lot like
I explained, like, me and my wife's mom could talk because she's from Alabama. Like, we could have
Yeah,
conversations about growing up,
absolutely.
and my wife would be like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
There's a lot of similarities
Yeah.
in what you were saying and and in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have running water. We didn't have running water either. Had to go to the well and get your water, and no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma's house, man, you could see more outdoors, indoors. It was rough. And my older brother passed away. He was born on her dining room table.
Wow.
I was fortunate I got to be born in a hospital. But it's a lot like.
Yeah, and that's how far back Guyana was compared to this country.
Yeah.
It's like, again, now they're catching up. Like there's a 13-story building in Guyana. When we were kids, the tallest building was 4 stories. Like that was it. That was it. Now they got big hotels and resorts, and so it was really, for me to see the transition is really
money brings about
yep.
things.
Yep.
So tell us now, when you finally decided to get into wrestling, you had to go through your training. So I know in FCW you trained under Homicide and Steve Kern and Tom Pritchard. What were you doing before FCW? Was FCW?
No, Homicide's not.
He's not
FCW.
okay.
So the school I found in Brooklyn was Homicide. Late in the Tower of Torture. At that time, you had Low Key was there also.
Low Key, okay.
Xavier was there, and it was they did shows every weekend. It's called LIWF.
Okay.
And then they switched it to the Doghouse. But that was where I trained. And every Wednesday these guys would go wrestle. Every weekend they'd be going to different places, but I wasn't told. I didn't know the indie scene. I just thought, okay, I look this way. I'm athletic. I could do anything. I could do most of the stuff in the ring. Mm-hmm. I just thought somebody would have found me. Yeah. And it didn't happen. Like I didn't know you had to go out there and get bookings and call promote. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I trained with them. When they closed down, I started going to ECPW. Okay. There's a dude named Gino Caruso out in Jersey.
Okay.
But then I'm driving a Navigator, and this is right after Katrina and gas prices stupid. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm spending $80 to come to a show to make $20. And my wife was like, this math didn't happen. And I'm rushing back to go to work. I'd work at clubs and stuff like that on the weekends.
Bouncing.
Security work. And I'm like, this isn't, so I kind of pulled away from that.
Okay.
My wife and I my wife's an actress. She has a degree from Columbia in theater.
Okay.
And I used my look for commercials. So we did, between the two of us, we've probably done 30 to 40 national commercials.
Okay.
And that's what paid the bills, allowed me to do personal training at a gym in Chelsea, New York. And I did the club. So with the wrestling was always just, okay, I'll go practice when I can. And if somebody calls me to book me, they will. Once my son was born, I didn't want to raise my son in New York. We lived on a 3-store walk-up. Trying to park a Navigator in Harlem is not easy, especially coming home at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Trying to park anything.
Yeah. So, I had an incident with a taxi driver. Somehow he got snatched out of his car. I don't know. I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to hurt somebody in New York. Because if I have my son in the car and you cut me off, I'm protective.
Oh, man.
So one morning I woke up, I was like, let's move to LA. And we moved to LA and I joined up with UPW, which is in San Clemente. And they're like, we have this opportunity coming up with WWE if you can commit to it. And I did, but I was working at the Home Depot at the time. I had the insurance, I had the solid money coming in.
Yep.
And I went into the HR guys, like, dude, I just want Wednesdays off because I got to go to San Clemente. He's like, I can't guarantee you one day off. I'm like, it's Wednesdays. I'm like, I work Sundays because 2 other people in the department don't work on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I can't guarantee you a day off. I was like, today's my last day.
Oh.
Like literally, I called my wife shaking. I was like, dude, I think I just quit the Home Depot. And she was like, you know what I mean? But I'm going to bring in I'm a Christian, so this is how God showed up. Within the next month, we both booked almost 4 national commercials.
Man.
Wow. So I'm working at clubs still, doing a little bit of personal training, doing commercials, and money's coming in while I'm doing this training for the WWE. And I told her, give me 6 months. And on the 5th month, I think I got my offer from the WWE.
Man.
So, you know, when I tell people like, dude, I trust God with everything. I don't
1,000%.
I don't doubt it at all.
That's right.
You know, because I knew I doubted him when I told him I moved to LA because I want to wrestle. I want my wife to act. And I came out and got scared and I got a job at the Home Depot. And like, I don't know how I used to get the auditions from the Home Depot. I would get from Burbank to LA and back within an hour.
What?
I don't know how I used to do that.
What year was this?
Man.
2005. 2005. So I'm jumping on the 130 to the 101 to the 405.
Yeah, hour to get over here from.
And then get back. And I'm like, I don't know how it happened, but it used to happen.
Absolutely.
And then once I quit, it's like the commercials started flowing for my wife and I. Then I got the offer from the WWE, and it's like I was supposed to go to Georgia for my tryout.
Okay.
But that was the weekend they fired a bunch of people.
Wow.
Like about 17 people got fired. So I ended up in Louisville with my tryout with Al Snow. And that's where I got my, you know, Johnny Ace was the guy then. His right-hand guy was Ty Bailey. And I was like, they put me in a match. I was like, I'm going to do the best bump I could. I just I bumped because as big as I am, I'm pretty athletic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I jumped so high, I think I made eye contact with Johnny before I bumped, and he looked like this. Then I cut a promo. I think I made Danny Davis at the time. He came up to me. He was like, I think you almost made me cry. You know what I mean? So I got my contract from there, and it just, you know, the doors opened, and, you know, my wife was amazing enough to say, like, I'll follow you wherever.
Whoa. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, she was like, first she was like, you know, I could move home with my mom. I'm like, I ain't going to do this alone. So we packed up and moved to Georgia. We were there for 2 months. Then they shut Deep South down.
Oh, wow.
And then we were in limbo for like a month. Like either we'll be in Louisville or we'll be in Tampa. Thankfully, we ended up in Tampa. Okay. And that's where FCW started.
Yep.
Wow.
You got anything, Pops, before I move on?
Man, people, you mentioned that people say that pro wrestling is fake.
Yeah.
And we know that it is scripted, or you guys discuss what's going to happen before the match.
Yeah.
But you have to be, and it's been proven over and over again, you have to be one hell of an athlete to be a professional wrestler. And I think people ignore that fact a lot. You know, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. I just train.
Yeah.
And you, like,
you crapping on what I do.
Man, you got to be, you have to be a hell of an athlete to be a professional. You can't just decide that I'm gonna be in the WWE and walk down the shit. Right? I mean, you can see it from pro wrestlers. I mean, go into the UFC and win the heavyweight title. Brock Lesnar. Hey,
that dude's a different beast.
Yeah, I mean,
Bobby did it also.
Bobby Lashley,
going
in the octagon, beating all kind of ass.
I think Batista did it.
He did it. He had a fight. You just can't walk in off the street and do shit like that. Professional wrestlers. For you kids at home and you punks at home and think that it's all fake, and hey, you're going to get snatched out that cab. Get snatched out that cab. I don't know how it's going to happen, but you're going to actually get snatched out that cab. Hey, I'm telling you, you have to be a hell of an athlete.
And you have to do it entertaining.
Yeah. And
that's not just a
hell
fight.
of an athlete right there. When I watch you, oh my God. I know he'll fuck somebody up for real. That's what I think. He will beat somebody's ass for real.
But that's the thing we've talked about. It like growing up, I've been a lifelong wrestling fan, and for me, wrestlers that always stood out to me were the Ron Simmons, the Butch Reed, the Bad News Browns, because those are cats that I knew growing up in my neighborhood. Those was Stevie Ray's another one. I told him Harlem Heat was like growing up for me. Harlem Heat was like these are my uncles. Like I know these guys.
Booker,
I know these guys. And I tell Stevie to this day, every time I talk to him, he was like, that was my appeal to wrestling, because you were so relatable to me growing up and the people that I grew up around. Like, these just my uncles that didn't take no crap from nobody, would put you in. And again, I bring up Ron Simmons' name all the time. Ron Simmons just didn't have to say a whole lot.
No.
But you knew that was a man's man.
There's a man's man.
And Ron would hurt you. He didn't have to say a lot. I've heard some interesting stories about Ron, and Ron's just one of them people you did not want to cross. But I knew a lot of cats like that. And those are the people I relate to. I wasn't the Ultimate Warrior guy or the red and yellow guy. Those weren't the people I related to.
Yeah.
I related to those, put my foot in your ass.
Yes.
Ain't gonna be too much talking. Then that's why Bad News Brown always stood up. He didn't have to do a whole lot of talking.
And like I look at him and I try to steal that approach. I had the goatee, the bald head, I was balding, so it didn't matter.
We all
put the gloves on, and I think had he been around, say like within this time, he would have been that Stone Cold kind of character.
He would.
Which is
and I love Stone Cold, but that rebellious guy.
I remember watching a battle royal when he turned on Bret Hart. Him and worked, and then he hit him with the ghetto blast, and then Bret destroyed. I'm like, man, that's like that was one of my favorite moments.
Yep,
so it looked real for him. It looked like, but then when you looked up and this dude was a judo is it bronze belt in the Olympics?
He whooped your ass. Yeah.
I'm like,
every time I say, I'm like, that's one of my uncles. Like,
you don't want to mess with him, and you're glad to say he's your uncle.
Yeah, he will whoop your ass for real.
For real,
absolutely.
I've heard stories, and him and Andre the Giant had a few run in, and Andre would mess with a lot of people. But Bad News Brown was one of them people that could get in Andre's head and tell Andre to stand down and needed to. And Andre didn't stand down to a whole lot of people. But he knew Bad News Brown was the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the people I related to and I love seeing growing up. So your main roster debut, you came in as Brian Kendrick's bodyguard. What was going through your mind that night you debuted on TV? What was that like for you?
So Brian, FCW, I walk in one morning and Brian was there. I said, hey, man, because at UPW, I used to train with one of his friends, a young wrestler out here, Lil Nate, I think his was. Red-headed cat. And I was like, yeah, man, every time I speak to Nate, he say, what's up to you? He's like, I'm here to actually talk to you. I was like, oh. He's like, and we went to the place, the FCW was still being developed, so the bathroom wasn't finished yet, so we went in there. He's like, I came to get you. I want to bring you up as my heater, bodyguard.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, I'm doing backflips in my head. You know what I mean? Because before that, I was supposed to do the WrestleMania when they were in Orlando.
Okay.
I was supposed to be with the Floyd Mayweather group.
Oh,
so it was like a bunch of guys, Big Show.
Big Show.
And I'm excited. I'm like, I'm about to be a Mania.
Yeah.
And the Wednesday before Mania, I got a phone call. It's like, you're not doing that. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm in the watching the match. I think that was the night Shawn versus Ric Flair took place. I want to enjoy it, but I'm like, man, this was but I didn't realize they had something for me coming up. So when Kendrick was like, what would you want to do? In my head, I'm like, I want to be Suge Knight. That's why I went with the white. I actually had the red sweatsuit.
Oh, damn.
I had the red sweatsuit. And MVP was like, dude, do the white.
Yeah.
So if you notice, I came out with the cigar,
white,
the jewelry, leave the shirt open.
Yep.
So we tried it out in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as we were going through the match, I think this is where Edge came in and really made my character what it was. Like I was supposed to hit whoever I think he was working Funaki. Edge like, if he hits Funaki should be dead. Just Kendrick beat that asshole and jump behind him and flip. And then when he turns away, and that's what kind of allowed me for like the first month of not doing anything other than facial. Like as mean as I can. When I snatched somebody, they knew I snatched. You know what I mean? And so that's how you listen in this business. You learn to listen to people who you respect, because everybody's going to give you advice, trying to help you. They're not trying to hurt your character, but you have to figure out what works for you. And that's an advice I got way back from Bret Hart, who was like, know what you can do, know what you're going to do, and know what you're not going to do. And once I established those, my matches changed, my approach to wrestling changed, my approach to putting matches together changed. And I think that's what kind of elevated me to get a call up.
All right. So how do you decipher through all of that information you're getting from wrestlers who have been doing this a long time, saying, hey, you should try this or do that? Like, how do you take all that information and apply it to what you're doing? And then how do you choose, okay, who to listen to? Yeah, who to listen to.
And that's, again, the conversation, like Bret Hart came in and he stated, though, it was like at FCW, the WWE sent different guys in every week just to get, for us to get, pick their brains. And once he said that, that Royal Rumble, I think he came in probably in December, maybe November, that Royal Rumble, Cena came down.
Okay.
And he was in the ring and I'm watching him, you know, he's about to make his re-debut after neck surgery at the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I grabbed him. I was like, man, can I pick your brain? He's like, yeah. I was like, they want me to call matches like this. Like 15 words trying to say, I'm like, first of all, I got a little bit of a lisp. I have an accent. I'm going to bite my tongue off trying to remember, you know, like we were just talking, like you don't remember. I don't remember that stuff. He's like, he's like, you want to get in the ring? I was like, yeah. So we got in the ring and he called his finish, his comeback move was like shoulder tackle, punch. And he was telling me step by step. He's like, one thing at a time. He's like, you're big as hell.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying? And I combine those two, knowing what I'm going to take, know what I'm going to do, know what you can do to me.
Yeah.
And one thing at a time, again, it changed my approach. So
is that especially for a guy your size?
Yeah.
Trying to see how I can work this. Like because you just said what you will allow to be done to you.
Yeah.
It's just certain things a man your size
I'm not going to do. You're not. Yeah.
But being new to the business, how do you come in and fortify that and say, okay, like,
and it's
Naki shouldn't be knocking me on my
but that's where your producer for the match should come in. Like, we like, dude, there's no way.
Yeah.
But most of the guys I worked with, first of all, liked me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never somebody trying to make a name on me. Because I'm like, straight up, like the one person that did in FCW, my clothesline usually can go here or here.
Yeah.
And these things on here is not fun.
Mm-mm.
So, you know, I you know what I mean? So I think, I don't know if it was a thing that went, but it was also like, do you really want to piss this dude off?
Who was this guy?
I can't. And he's no longer in the company.
Oh.
He left a long time ago.
Well, you shouldn't mind telling me who.
Yeah, he had his chance. You know what I mean?
Pull a Shelton story. Shelton had one of them
trying-
stories.
But he's tried. Everybody was afraid of my clothesline for some strange reason.
Gee, I wonder why.
And he tried to duck it.
Oh.
And if he duck, like, I could fall, I could rip I could hurt my, I'm throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to hit you as a shoulder tackle, but I'm going to whip this. Mm-hmm. And as I see him ducking, I had to change my angle, and this hit you right in the jaw. He kind of got knocked out for a bit. You know what I mean? It wasn't up there. It was at FCW. But I don't, you know, I don't think that was a thing. I think I wasn't an asshole when I came back. I was very respectful of everybody. I'm a grown man, first of all. I came as a grown man with a family.
Yep.
So I'm not coming in here as a little boy trying to impress. I'm like, you see me. If you can help me, you help me. If you don't want to help me, it's okay. And I think everybody kind of drew to that when we were putting together matches. Again, first of all, I was with Kendrick. And Kendrick was like, I'm going to protect you, like, because he understood where. There you go. There you go.
Definitely a night character going.
Yep.
It's like, Kendrick was like, Kendrick saw what it could have been.
What are you weighing right here?
Here, 280.
Good Lord.
I was about 280 there.
Look
at young. Young and...
That's how old are you right there?
This was 2008. 2008. So I just turned 30. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
How old are you now?
I'm 47.
And
Yeah,
look and looking bigger and stronger than ever.
I'm not traveling as much.
Oh, okay.
I get to work out, and I get to sleep in my bed at night. So
oh,
that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Now, I got to touch on the powerlifting. You did say you did some powerlifting. What were some of your favorite lifts? And I asked that because I'm sitting here by one of the strongest powerlifters ever.
Deadlift and bench. I never squatted because as a teenager I had Oscar slaughter.
Uh-huh.
Wish I knew what I know now, that I should have been squatting when I was younger. So with my clients, how to come in, like, I got knee pain. Like, great, we squatting. Like, there's no way around it, but it's gonna hurt. We still squatting. We'll start with the leg press, and it's gonna hurt like hell until it gets stronger. But I didn't. So I never squatted, but I did the bench and deadlift. My first meet, I did it a week after I did a bodybuilding show.
Man.
So I was 19. I think I did 315 on the bench. And I deadlifted 550.
Damn it, 19.
But like that was one of those, you've been at powerlifting meets where you had no control of your stomach.
Right.
And you deadlifting in front of 100 people and you ripped one the whole way through. And you just kept going. Literally, I would never forget that. 550 on the bar. And sumo, I mean, so like I tell people, like I destroyed all hair follicles in my chins from deadlifting sumo. But those were my two. Like my bench, I stopped competing powerlifting because once I got home, but then my bench just got stronger. Wish back then you could record yourself in gym. You weren't allowed to bring cameras in. So I could claim a 550 bench. People gonna be like, I can't prove it, but I know what it is.
It was a whole lot of no cameras around.
Because dudes were doing dude stuff, recording women.
VHS. The only thing I got from back is VHS tapes. My lady had a camera, so I got a VHS camera for Christmas, and that was the only reason I got a couple old shots. Otherwise, everybody was walking around with cell phones and shit back there.
We'd have a different
first cell phone I got. The bill was so goddamn high. I think I had it a month.
Turn this off.
Fuck it. What? Fuck this phone. $500? No, fuck. I want to be cool. I just people hitting me on my hip. You know what I mean? I got my phone just hitting me on my hip. Shit. That big and motherfucker about that big.
Yeah, and the big brick phone.
Well, that shit had to go.
All right, so you had some big accomplishments during your time in WWE, former Intercontinental Champion, the last ECW Champion. But I want to touch on the Intercontinental title. Winning that title, what did that mean to you? And I asked that question because not a lot of us who look like us have held that title.
And the guys who have, at a certain point, so when I got the word that, okay, you and Wade are going to feud.
Yeah.
First of all, that was a big shift. We had a big meeting before we went to Europe. It's like the core is going to be, we're going with trying to surpass the Nexus. That was the meeting we had. And a week later, we were splitting our two. So
last long, if I remember correctly.
So we kind of, started teasing. Like we had a meeting and then we started teasing it and then it ended up happening. So in my head, I'm like, okay, they see something. Because I won the ECW title before that. Mm-hmm. I got injured.
ECW was a world title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won the ECW title on March 25th, I think. I'm like, okay, we're going to SmackDown now. In February I won the ECW. March 25th, we were down in Arizona for Mania. I got a phone call, my dad died.
Oh, man.
So Johnny, he's like, just go. Oh, you're going to do a Mania. He's like, you're going to walk to the ring. He's like, we'll pay you. We'll fly you home, fly your family home, because they were all coming to Phoenix. So I went and I watched WrestleMania. That was Shawn Michaels and Taker #2. Yeah. I watched that match writing my dad's eulogy. So we buried him on April 3rd. I was back on the road for SmackDown that Friday. We flying to Europe. I did 3 shows. April 10th, which would have been my sister's birthday, I blew my quad out.
Dang.
First match versus Kane. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this set me up. So with Kane, it's like, first of all, the pay is higher.
Yeah.
The matches, like Kane is helping me, elevate me, and I blew my quad out. So getting a chance at the Intercontinental Championship, was like, okay, they still see something in me. And what comes next is being in that picture,
Yep.
but didn't happen. You know, they got Cody and they started launching Cody. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for my turn. And it just never came. So was I a transitional champion? Yeah, but still I was an IC champion. So you know what I mean? I could name 30 dudes that went through the WWE that never touched the title. So blessed and like really happy that I got a chance.
It's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because Shelton kind of said the same thing when he got the Intercontinental title. He was like,
what's next?
I'm thinking like, okay,
what's next?
What's building, and then nothing comes of it.
Mm-hmm.
So on the downside of that, and nothing happens after that, like, does that change your perspective? Like, does it bring you down? Or are you just like, okay, business as usual, we're just gonna keep moving?
I could watch my matches now and realize that I wasn't there. My body was there.
Wow.
But I could tell I was just disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they had me lose. Now I'm losing to dudes that
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I'm losing. You know what I mean? Like, so I could tell my body was there, and I just wasn't into it because I saw the drop in pay after IC. In my head, I'm like, okay, what story? And I'm pitching. They're like, send the stories. I'm pitching stories and different stuff, and seeing my stories on other people.
Oh man, yeah.
You know, but I'm like, but they tell you once it comes in, it's a part. Like it's an idea. So I didn't care, but it's just like I kept pitching, and it just didn't come to fruition. But I could see that maybe I could go back and be like, man, I wish I had perked up more and understand the hills and valleys of wrestling, but I didn't. So the valley was kind of like, for me, was disappointing.
Yeah.
And I didn't do enough in my own to probably pull myself out.
So what do you think some of your, do you think you had any shortcomings? And I asked that question because I go back to to something Shelton said. And Shelton was like, one of his issues and why he feels he didn't get pushed like he should have with the athletic talent that the brother had, just everything he could do. He was like, he wasn't a good talker.
Yeah.
He knows that him not being able to cut those promos was something that held him back. What do you think that was for you? Or
I think it was so promos, we had a class, like I don't know how many people shared this, where it was I don't want to say names, but a lot of the dudes that are on TV now was in this class, and myself with Vince every week cutting promos. I never got that sucked in my promo.
okay.
However, they would come to me to give me a promo when I was IC champ and be like, okay, you got 30 seconds to remember. Do this promo in 30 seconds. And I don't have a good short-term memory. Give that to, if you give that to me last Wednesday,
yeah.
and I would remember it next Wednesday. So I'd go out there and I look at my promos and I'd be like, dang, I missed that. I forgot that. I didn't emphasize this. Yeah. You know what I mean? So maybe if I had gotten say, okay, you got 90 seconds, this is the gist of what we want from you, that's what I can do. I can off the cuff. But give me the words to remember, and then sometimes they would write things like I said, I never got into that hip hop culture. I don't speak like that. I don't use those words. So I would be like, dude, I don't speak like this. These are the words I use. Can we change that? And you got a writer changing this 3-4 times, you're probably burning bridges.
Yeah.
So maybe, again, I don't know what happened. However, I got a chance to live my dream. Like I said, I came from, a half-naked kid watching wrestling to the chance to travel the world, make some money, spend all the money. Enjoy, but got a chance to live my dream. Yeah, and I would never, I don't want to ever go back and be like, man, I wish I did. Oh, I wish I would. It happened. I can't, I won't relish on that negative part of it. You know what I mean?
So looking back on your career, more your WWE career, no regrets. Everything played out the way it should have in your mind.
Like I said, there was things I wish I'd done. Okay, there's a few things like, again, maybe I should have spent more time reading the promos when they give it to me. instead of looking at it, trying to remember it. Maybe I should have read it, found a different way to read through it so that I did it correctly.
Yeah, the way is, and the memory thing, same here.
Yeah.
Even when I was young, I didn't have no good memory.
Yeah.
It's even worse now.
Yeah, absolutely. My memory sucks.
Yeah.
But I can ad-lib my ass off.
Yeah.
Say, look, just give me the gist.
Give me the gist. And that was what I wish would happen. But
Yeah.
it's TV.
Yeah.
This is what they want. You got 30 seconds.
Give me 30 seconds to give you the gist.
Give me
I'll give you
again
30 seconds of what I got.
with my matches. The intensity, I think the intensity was always there.
Oh, yeah.
I never lost the intensity, but for me, I could look and be like, if I am the producer, if I am Vince, if I am one of the guys, I could see. Because now, the trained eye, I can see, okay, he didn't do that right. He was just half-assed. You know what I mean?
Okay, you back now. Ezekiel Jackson is gone. Rycklon is back. And look, WWE, if you motherfuckers is looking at this shit, let me walk out with him.
You do all the talking.
We had some fun.
Boy, we would have a ball. And the first thing I want you to do, look, Rycklon, all the people lined up ringside, just go around and slap all of them.
Hold on.
Before we get in the ring.
No, I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you.
Look, you shouldn't have bought no ringside ticket, motherfucker.
I'm not gonna let
you know Rycklon was gonna be wrestling.
I'm not gonna let you do Shelton Benjamin like that. That was a give you gave Shelton. Shelton was gonna walk around slapping everybody.
But Shelton say he didn't want to do it. Rycklon would do it.
I just remember telling one of my last meetings with Vince, I was like, you guys got me coming out smiling as a baby because I'm a good guy. And I'm like, I'll approach a little white kid and they do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what I mean? And he was like, he bit it, but whatever happened, it veered away.
One of the things I love with the conversation we had Stevie Ray on. He said, and I had to go back and watch it because I remember watching Harlem. He said, but even when whether we were heels or faces,
okay,
we still came out the same way. We was gonna come out mean muggy, but that's talk crazy.
But that's when you're told smile, as you're walking out. I'm like, I got a great smile, but these kids are scared as hell. These ladies do not they're just gonna snap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I would play on that big time.
And I would have loved to.
Oh my!
When I was a heel, it was fun.
Oh,
I would talk trash doing that, like the live events. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's all.
The live events are so much fun.
But then you get to TV and again, you got 8 minutes, you got 6 minutes, you got 4 minutes. Go home.
What do you think about this? Now, I've been telling them for years. I've been friends with Stone Cold and Bill for years, and I told Stone Cold a long time ago. He had me on his podcast. I says, why don't they let y'all cuss?
I think they're on Netflix right now. I think they're allowing. I'm hearing a few.
Yeah.
When I heard the final boss Rock say "fuck" on, I was so happy. I said, I've been
That's real.
And you know what? That was the highest rated show. And I said, God damn it, I told you. I've been telling you for years.
It's all about cussing.
Yeah, because people know that's how they talk.
You really speak.
Yeah, that's how they talk when the camera ain't around. Stone Cold cuss much as I do. And I was like, hey, man, if you talk like that on TV, you's popular as fuck already. But if you start talking like that,
to be the real.
Oh my God, watch the ratings go. And I was proved right. As soon as Rock said fuck, the ratings went through the roof.
So he did a vignette, like a training vignette with the Hurt Syndicate. So it was Shelton, Bobby,
I saw that. Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, Pops, the only thing they say, don't cuss. Do you think he didn't cuss? The whole vignette, when they played it, we went to the AEW event, and they just bleeping it out.
But you know, like it's a CT.
That's what I had to. That's what I told Shelton. I'm like, they just got to understand. At the end of the day,
you're not changing this.
He's not good. He's going to say what he gonna say, and it's gonna come out however it comes out. Because like you said, he don't write nothing down. It's all ad lib. It's all ad lib. And I watch him cut these promos sometimes. Even we were backstage, we did a little thing, and I'm like, it's just
It's there.
off the head. It's
Got no
just
memory.
And that's like
shot, boy.
like the dudes that are great at it. Like you could tell. Like I tell, I post a video of Paul Heyman and be like, "You cutting promo, study this man.
Oh yeah, he's an oracle. Boy.
You watch MVP, like you cutting the promo, study this man.
Absolutely.
MVP's another one. We had him on, and I said, "Well, who do you look at for promos?" And he was just like, "People can say what they want about John Cena." He said, "But John Cena is
promo guy.
great on the microphone."
Yeah.
He was like, you give him an idea and he can turn it into whatever. And he said that's what makes a great promo is to be able to take what you're given and not just spit it out verbatim, but turn it into something that fits your character. And he said, because you have to understand, these writers are just writing stuff. They don't know what your background is or what your character is. You have to make it fit your character. He said, and the good ones can do that. They can take this page and like, all right, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, but let me flip it in and turn it into something like that.
And that's Miz, that's Cena. That's, you know what I mean?
What do you prefer, being the nice guy or the heel?
Heel.
Oh, good.
Everybody says it.
Because again,
they say it gives them more freedom.
You have more freedom. You have more relatability.
Yeah.
But people want to be able to stone cold.
Yeah.
People want to be able to kick their boss in the like people want to be able to beat their boss. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody pitched, like I was driving down here, I got flipped off like 3 or 4 times because I don't, I'm a nice guy in the car, but if you're driving crappy, I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to come past you, you're going to flip me off. Cool, but I'm ahead of you now. But Stone Cold was to be able to flip people off.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what I mean? But being the bad guy is always cool.
Absolutely. Hey, WWE, keep him a bad guy. He's this your next champion, right? Keep him a bad guy.
All right, so you left WWE in 2014?
Yeah.
All right, so you did some stuff with TNA, Lucha Underground. When you finally decided to retire from the ring, because you're just now coming back, maybe to come back to the ring, what was your reason behind the retirement? Was it just like, I'm just mentally done, I'm physically done? What took you?
So that story is funny because I did a show. I was in Germany.
Okay.
And I fought their champion the first night. Now, I did a show in Bern, Switzerland, and we drove to Germany. I fought their champion. He's about 210 pounds, and he's trying to tell me the stuff that he wants to do to me. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, you want to F5 me? Oh. And every time I try to tell him, like, no, I don't do that, then he'd say, I think he'd use, oh, you don't understand. I'm like,
I understand.
You don't understand? Okay, so we put together this match, and he goes it over a couple of times. I'm like, cool. We got to the ring, and I beat him for like 8 minutes straight. I didn't let him do anything to me. Then finally, I whipped him to a corner. I told the ref, tell him to move. I hit the post as hard as I could. I was like, cover me. Put your foot on. Put the foot on. I acted like I destroyed my shoulder, got out. The next night, I was supposed to wrestle him again. That night, it was a 3-on-3 match. He didn't get in the ring with me at all. But they had this guy in there. It was like the funniest match I've ever been in. This kid wants to flex off with me. But the thing is, he believes it's real. I think he might have, now that I can think of it, he might have been Asperger's. Yeah. And he thought it was real. Wow. And so he wanted to flex off, and everything that I did, he would want to do. And I had fun. Match is over. We got to the back. As I do, this is my words. If that was my last match, I could retire a happy man. Somebody heard retire happy man. Oh. By the time I'm driving to the airport, Twitter's blowing up. Ezekiel Jackson announces retirement. What? I was like, I called my wife. She was like, you know what I mean? I flew home, literally, that was in July. I think we did, by July 7th, I got home. I was like, dude, if this is it, I'd spoken with Lucha Underground. I was like, I wanted to be more than just a wrestler. Mm-hmm. I was like, you got these Lucha guys coming in that really don't understand American style. Like, let me work with them and help them. Yeah. And they're like, we just see you as a wrestler. I was like, okay, let's end my contract. Like, I was like, I don't want to come back. So my wife and I, we packed up, moved to the Bay. My mother-in-law wasn't doing the best. So we went home to take care of her, moved back in her house. And I walked, like, literally that's where my personal training started again. I went to the gym to work out. Dude was like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm looking for work. He's like, you want to be a personal trainer? I'm like, sure. So I go from, like, I'm still on TV, but I'm working in this gym making $35 a session as a trainer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my wife's like, it's the starting point. You know what I mean? And literally, it wasn't like a decision made. It wasn't like, I'm tired of wrestling. It's just like, somebody made a decision for me. I might as well run with it.
Wow.
Like, literally, that's what it was. But the comeback was like,
Yeah, that's what
I want to do it on my own. I wanted to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
Even to this day, like, I've received, within the time I've announced, I've worked 3 times, but I've received maybe 20 inquiries. But for some strange reason, they don't think I'm worth what I'm worth. Like, when I say, okay, this is my rate, and you fly me in, and you, they're like, they just don't respond. I'm like, that's fine. Like, I'm literally doing this on my own. Like, I'm not in desperation. And I think a lot of promoters think you're desperate for money or you're chasing. I'm like, I'm okay. Like, my business is doing amazing. like I'm a personal trainer in the Bay. I'm in the Atherton area, which is wealthier than Beverly Hills. So my business is word of mouth, and I'm doing amazing. So I'm like, if you want to book me, this is what I would lose. This is what I would lose to come out to you. So you're just replacing what I would lose. And they don't see that. I'm like, that's fine. So I'm not chasing wrestling. If my last match was 2 weeks ago, I'm okay. But if you pursue me and we work it out and it's worth it, I'll show up and give you the best match I can give you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man,
Go ahead, Bob.
Shit. Again, WWE, if you motherfuckers is listening, this will be your next goddamn champion. We walked to the ring one time with him, and it's over. I'm telling you, everybody in the front row getting slapped. The announcers is getting slapped. Referee getting slapped. Everybody in the vicinity.
And everybody getting sued after
Everybody getting sued.
Everybody in the vicinity of Rick, I'm going to let him know before he get there. Hey, don't sit up close because your ass is slapped.
Just lean back when you're coming out.
Now, before we get out of here, one more thing I want to touch
Trying
on.
to wave for the city on the front row.
One more thing I want to touch on that is very obvious to me just from your social media presence alone. Your love for God.
Ooh, yes.
Your
Glad you
faith
hit that.
is on display all the time.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, how important is that in your life? I mean, you can be a former Intercontinental Champion, former ECW champ, former WWE star, but I can honestly tell that the one thing that really stands out to you is being a father, a husband, your love for God.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that and why is that so important to you?
So I grew up in a cult. My mom and sisters were baptized in a spiritual religion, so very African.
Mm-hmm.
When we came to this country, my dad went to church every Sunday in Guyana. He was in the Anglican church. So also Guyana, you prayed when you went to school in the morning, you prayed before you went home for lunch, you prayed when you came back for lunch, and you prayed when you went home in the evening after school. So prayer was always there. I just never went to church. At 14, we were still in East New York, and my mom told me to go pick up chicken and stuff from this church that was doing a chicken fry. We went there, and we started going to that church at 14. I got baptized at 15. The next day, I became a walk-in deacon. I wasn't a junior deacon. I became a walk-in deacon. I was ordained at 18 as a deacon. Currently, I'm a licensed preacher.
Okay.
And my church is St. John's in East Palo Alto.
Palo Alto.
Yeah.
That's where I had my heart transplant.
Yeah, I was trying to come and see you there. I was trying to reach out to Luke Hawk at the time, and he was at the VA. He's like, I'm like, I don't know the man. I don't want to show up and get cussed out.
Hell yeah, let him in.
But yeah, so that's where we were. So this is me. I try not to be forceful with my religion, my thing. I'm like, I do believe, there's a quote that I've always believed, preach the gospel when necessary, use words. So I try to live it.
Woohoo! That's the best
Word right there.
example right there. It's vivid.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking it.
A lot of people
lot of
talking
people
it,
talking.
right, you know, and I try not to. So I share, I do have a lot of conservative views. I also have a lot of progressive views. So if you look at my page, it's different all the way through. But it's one thing that I've always known, that I could trust God when everything else seems out of whack. I know I could trust God.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And that's just my approach to it is like, I studied the Bible. I've studied I know the history of the Bible. I know the historicity of the Bible. You want to argue the Bible? I won't, because I've my testimony doesn't have to influence you, but I'm not going to sit and argue the Bible because there's way too much smarter people than me that's done more for this thing. So if you want to talk about why I believe, I'll talk you through it. But I won't come and try to prove the existence of God or that Jesus walked the earth. Enough historians have proven that. And that's just my thing. It's like, this is me. I love God. He's the center of my life. I wake up, my Bible app goes off. I read, even if it's just one verse for the day, I'm going to read. I'm going to pray a few times throughout the day, just because God has blessed me in ways, man. Like, I got an amazing wife that loves me in spite of me. I'm not a perfect man. You know what I mean? Got a lot of issues that I brought with me throughout this life, and she still loves me. I got a son we were talking about who, in ways, emulates me to a T.
Yeah.
You know, I'm again happy as heck that he's a big dude. He's taller than me and 285 pounds, playing football at Berkeley, but just got into the Haas Business School, where only 4% of this country, people who apply gets into. My daughter wants to compete with him, so she decides I'm going to try. He tried football as a junior. She's trying shot put. She just won her league in shot put. Man. Talking to college. So God has blessed me in ways that I could brag about, but it was ways that if I try to explain to you, it don't even matter to you. Like simply waking me up and allowing me to drive here this morning was a blessing. I got a chance to meet somebody that I just wanted to meet for years.
Yes,
I got a chance to see miracle and a blessing. You know what I mean? So that's how I approach this thing. It's like, I'm not going to force it on you, but if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it for real.
That was the thing, just as I was researching you more and more. I've been following you for a minute, but it's out there. Like you said, it's not a forceful thing, but you could tell that God is the center of your life. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I just wanted to commend you for that, for putting it out there like that. Because like you said, it's not about beating people over the head with it. It's about living it.
Yeah.
And you, sir, live it.
Appreciate that, man.
Now, Solomon, before we go, throw that picture up there. I want to have a little fun before we close it out.
Which picture?
That one right there. Now, look. We've had a lot of professional wrestlers and athletes on this show, and I find one reason to hate on every single one of them. Terry Crews, I hate on his biceps.
Oh.
Goldberg, I hated on his thick-ass neck. You, sir.
Bowling ball.
The bowling balls on the neck. Trapzilla.
Yeah.
How, sir, and I'm asking this question as somebody who had a little muscle, who lost it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it back, but it's one thing I've always wanted was some big arms and some big ass traps.
I got
yeah, he do.
Sir, how does one get bowling balls to sit up on the side of their neck like that?
That's from carrying buckets of water. For miles and miles.
Don't say that. You know this motherfucker out there.
Gonna be a bunch of people just walking out of there. So it ended up being farmers carry.
Why they carrying motherfuckers?
Because that, sir, looks unreal. Like, they talk about the AI and all that. Look, the AI, I don't even know if AI can recreate that.
But he bigger than that in person.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, I seen it. Just getting to meet you, by the way, is an honor.
Appreciate it.
You know, I've been a big old fan ever since he's slamming some bitches all over.
You just don't know you by Rycklon. I was like,
Ezekiel Jackson. And I said, who? He said, Rycklon come out. I said, who? Ezekiel Jackson. Oh, no, different. But this is an impressive picture But to see this man when he got out of his car today and walked down the side, I said, God damn. Lumps and shit everywhere. Now, he got them big ass chaps, but he got lumps and shit, arms big and shit. What, 23s?
Probably about it.
Yeah, 23s. And just lumpy and shit. I said, why your shirt so goddamn tight?
I was trying to find a bigger shirt.
You weren't looking too hard. All of them probably fit like that. But I mean, if I looked like that, my shirt would be tight, the motherfucker too.
You was a tight shirt.
Oh, I didn't want that. If it was loose, I ain't want it.
No.
Why? Who gonna wear that shit? Not me.
The reason is, and I'm looking at you now. You said you're 47 years old. Me and you the same age, and I'm thinking I still got a chance. Damn it, I might be able to make it. I don't know how, but maybe I'm gonna go carry some water. I'm gonna do something. Get me some arms and some traps like that. You can't tell me nothing. Damn legs, all of that. I just want some arms and some traps, and my chest to look a little halfway decent. All the rest of that, y'all can keep the
rest.
Yeah, I ain't trying to. When you said squatting and having bad knees, you lost me there because these knees been rough for a long time, and squatting is just not something I'm good at, and I can't do it. So, but. Before we get out of here, Rycklon, I just want to say thank you so much for coming into the CT Fletcher. These hours always go by, and I'm going to swear one day Solomon going to slap the hell out of me for going over. I'm going to tell him to slap CT first.
No, you signed the waiver.
But we want to thank you so much for coming on the F Y'all podcast. I'll be sure to let your crew know, Shelton and MVP know you was in the house because we'll see them Wednesday, actually. We'll be at the Ontario AEW show. Okay. So we'll get to hang out with them for a hot second while we up there. And then next week, Pops, before we go, we got to let them know. AEW, All In, and StarCast. It was originally supposed to be me and CT there. CT has a prior obligation. I don't know if we want to put it out there yet. You want to keep that a secret?
We can put it out there.
You sure? Okay. Yeah. Well, let them know why you not coming.
Good friend. Now, it's I would love to be there, but I have a very good friend, Bill Goldberg. His retirement match is coming up.
On the same day as All In.
Yeah, on the same day. And I chose to go and be with my good friend on his retirement match. And that's what's going to happen. Wow. As simple as that. I'd love to be there, but hey, got that. That's my choices. I'm going to be with my buddy.
If you know CT, when it comes to friends and family, all those things get held in high regard. So if a friend calls and he can make it happen, he's going to be there.
Absolutely.
So CT will be in Atlanta, Georgia. But the F Y'all podcast and Michael Wright will still be in the house for All In and StarCast. And I got a special guest who will be filling in for CT. And Solomon, if you don't mind, I want to take this as a little clip because I want to add his little video to the end of this one. So ladies and gentlemen, the special guest filling in for the one and only CT Fletcher at StarCast will be one half of, in my opinion, the greatest tag team ever. Mr. Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat will be filling in for CT at StarCast. We're going to be interviewing all your favorite legends and AEW wrestlers. We're going to have a good damn time. And hell, if can't nobody fill in for CT, it's got to be Stevie Ray.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Talk much shit as anybody.
So Stevie Ray will be with me Friday at StarCast and then half the day on Saturday at StarCast. And then I will still be in the house for AEW All In, representing the F Y'all podcast. So with that being said, we're going to end this show like we do every show. Oh, make sure you get your official CT Fletcher podcast, not podcast merch, but your CT Fletcher merch at IronAddictsBrands.com. If you don't get it from there, trust me, it's a fake. I think we got all the fakes out the way, though. We good with the fakes? We trying.
Fuck y'all podcast merchandise.
Yeah, and all your F Y'all podcast. I got some new designs coming. I'll present those on the next show for the F Y'all podcast merch. Going to be symbolizing me and this man having open heart surgery. I had a new design that popped up in my head last night, so I got that, and I'll be showing that to you guys here pretty soon.
Dark sport athlete.
Go ahead. Let them know about your dark sport.
Dark sport athlete now, so use my code and get a discount.
What's your code? What's your code? And talk
shit,
up.
I don't know what my fucking code is.
You gonna tell people
10, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Hell.
But just put my name down at checkout.
I'll cut this clip and add CT's code to Dark Sports so you can get your percentage off for your Dark Sports gear. CT is now officially working with Dark Sports, so you will see if you follow social media, he's been pushing that gear, and I'll make sure that once I put this clip out, I will have it on the screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all.
Get some, 'cause
I got this stuff from like Pro Wrestling Tees.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Let them know what your pro
Yeah,
wrestling
that's
tees.
right.
So my Pro Wrestling Tees, I got a couple of T-shirts. One is Certified Freak of Nature.
That fit. That's what fit. That
The other
fit.
one is Big Rick.
Yeah.
And my two is a champ picture, but it's some Pro Wrestling Tees on the Ezekiel Jackson.
You can only get it in mediums and small.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rycklon Stephens, we appreciate you coming on the F Y'all podcast, and we're going to end this episode like we do every episode.
It's the F
Fuck y'all.
Podcast. It's the F Y'all Podcast.